This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com. Hey everybody, it's your old pal Rob. Now, today I wanted to hit on a subject that's kind of, well, it could be considered touchy, especially with some of the things that I've been reading in some of the comments. And I've asked certain questions, and I've gotten emailed this, and I also gotten told, or it was written in some of the comments of a couple of posts that I had put up. And it seems, and I asked this question to everybody, and then I'm going to try to figure out and talk about maybe why this is. Why is this? We usually do those type of things here, and you know, it's with brutal honesty and not leaning to one side or another or anything else like that, but maybe more asking the question why, or could these be the reasons, or is there something that I'm missing here? And I always put it out to the group here to kind of help me, and I always am interested in what your input is, because that's what makes this channel so much fun, is that you do have an input, especially when you are constructive and not hateful and things like that. Anybody can talk to anything as long as you spend time talking about it. But someone had wrote me and said, hey Rob, and it's what sparked this whole thing is because this isn't the first time this has been written to me. It's, hey Rob, you know something, I'm not going to be spending any money on games this month because I'm just kind of tired of the board game community and board games in themselves. I'm not excited. And I thought to myself, well, I can see that, you know. Lately, over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of games and it can wear you down with all the different things that you can want. And then I'm thinking to myself, you know, I've felt this way. But why would I feel this way? Because I've been doing this for close to 40 years. And never once did I get any kind of fatigue. Is it any different? Because you know, when I was younger, we would play, and then go out or, you know, hit the town, whatever, you know, whatever you did, there were different interests that you can have. Are people more focused in on the hobby itself? But you know, through the 40 years, I never got tired of it. If something came out, I went, oh man, I can't wait to get that home. And there was never any kind of fatigue. There also wasn't almost 1,500 games coming out every year. You know, there was a bunch, but there, you know, you didn't know when they were coming out, and you just go to your local store and it was like Christmas, and there was just this excitement about board gaming. And I think I even felt that when, not so much I went away from it, because I never went away from it, but I didn't, you know, when you start raising your family and all this other stuff, you get tied up with other things. It didn't, I wasn't fatigued. It's just time. Time became a thing. But what I'm seeing is there's a lot of fatigue and disgust out there, and kind of like, it's just, is it there because of a couple of reasons? And I really put this out there, and I'm not judging anybody because, hey, I make a lot of videos here. It could be a number of different reasons, and I'll explain to you what I think and my thoughts on this, okay? One, there are, again, like I said a little earlier, almost 1,500 games coming out a year over the last 10 years. That's a lot of games. And games don't have the same shelf life as they do in the old days, because when they came out, if there was a work replacement game that came out in 1970, well, it took a while to get another work replacement game to even come close to replacing it. But on the other hand, there were so many hex games, you know, war games, nobody got tired of them. We kept playing them. So is it the amount of games that you just get fatigued with? Is it all the Kickstarters and things like that that you get fatigued with? Okay, well, that game really looks interesting, but if I want that, I'm going to have to wait years. And then on top of it, boy, look at all the stuff that you have to have with it. Well, why, if I want to play the game, don't I want to play the expansion in case I really like it and it looks interesting? I mean, all these guys are trying to sell me on it on this YouTube channel. You know, they're trying to tell me that I need to have this. Does that build fatigue? Does that wear you out? Okay? Is it the board game community itself that has worn a lot of people out? Because I've seen that too. Now listen, I don't have an opinion either way. You could be on the extreme left, you could be on the extreme right. The funny thing about being on either side is you believe you're right. Okay? And I don't mean to the right, I mean just right in general. And you want to know something? You're not wrong. And are you wrong? No, you're not wrong either. If you believe in something, then believe in it. But that doesn't mean that the other person has to believe in it. And this division and this fight between these two sides and people banging heads and people trying to cancel each other, it gets fatiguing and people don't want to be part of the board game community, especially when people start to get some type of momentum behind their channels and then they start shoving this stuff down your throat. Well, this is what I believe. It doesn't make them wrong. Henry Ford, the great car maker, if some of you may not know that Henry Ford did make cars, okay, said something, and it pertains to this particular subject. There are those that believe they are right. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to say that again. There are those that believe they can, and those that believe they can't. Either way, they're probably right. And that's very true. Whether it's these little issues where people are screaming, no, I believe in this. Well, you're right to believe in that because that's what you believe in your heart. It doesn't mean the person across from you has to believe the same thing. It's okay for them to believe in something else, okay? As long as we're not hurting one another. Hurting is generally wrong. Trying to kill someone is generally wrong. Those are bad things, but petty issues and petty things and things that you look for and look for problems and look for drama. You know, it seems to be changing a bit also. That people that do that kind of thing are being just left out by companies and stuff like that. Because you get a little clout and you don't believe in yourself, you have to scream and point and blame your lot in life on the other person. It's their fault why I can't be this or that. It's their fault for this, that, or the other. And I believe that too much of that gets in and fatigues people as well. I'm not going to make a whole subject about it. I want to generalize it. I mean, there are channels out there that scream, you know, all these different things that aren't there, but want them to be there to cause drama. And then there's a guy I saw the other day trying to bring down the Dice Tower and you know, Rodney and all these other places when you really don't need to. You don't need to. Everybody has their right to say things. Does it need to be in board gaming? Probably not. And is it fatiguing? I believe it is. I believe it is. No matter what you believe in. It's not about what you believe in. It's about what the agenda that you decide to do. You have every right to do it. It's your channel. It's your thing or another. But it wears people down. And I think that's driven a lot of people away from going to conventions and things like that. Thinking that these things, thinking you could put on a t-shirt and change people's minds after you backpedal. It doesn't work that way, folks. If you believe in something, stand by it. It's okay. But I think generally people are fatigued with the whole thing. Another thing, I think price. I think money. You know, with all these big, huge games coming out that can run you anywhere $300 or $400, or that they are just exclusive to Kickstarter and they're never going to see retail. You know, it becomes anxiousness because people would want to play that game. and then they try to hunt it down on eBay, and eventually, are they willing to pay a little bit more or maybe too much, for their obsession of it? And does that become fatiguing after a while? Then when you finally get the game there and you maybe play it once or twice and then it sits on your shelf, and you do that with 10 to 15 games, that'll fatigue you and wear you out. I've never seen this level of fatigue as I do now. Is it short attention spans? Are we so looking at our phones all the time and everything like that, that playing a game doesn't hold up the way it did when we weren't so focused in on our phones or our tablets or our Instagrams and our Twitters and our YouTubes? Are we getting the right information? Are people being hard sold? When they go to look up a game, when you go to find out, gee, this G.I. Joe game looks really interesting. I'm really interested in learning about it. Well, let me put that into YouTube and let me see what I can find out. And there are 900 videos from 900 different people, and everybody trying to make their mark. Some wanting to be creative and hateful to try to spark emotion, when they're not really talking about the game as much as they are. I had to go pay for this. The distributor wouldn't sell it. Send it to me. So I'm going to make them pay. Or maybe the person's getting it from the distributor and wants to make a good name for himself. So he's going to puff that game up to no end. Does that become fatiguing? Not being able to get the right information? Are there people that you can trust? Yes, there are. There are a lot of good people out there that are going to tell you their honest opinion. I mean, I can name them off all day long, okay? And I can name the bad ones off all day long. What would it get me? Nothing. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about this unusual fatigue where people are starting to walk away. Did COVID have a big effect? Did COVID take a lot out of board gaming? When you couldn't play with your friends and then you found, wow, you know something? They're all kind of annoying in their own way, and I kind of like doing this by myself. Or maybe I'm just, I'm kind of over this. I don't want to do this every Friday night. It's too stressful. The different personalities, the alpha gamer, the weak gamer, the guy that's loud and obnoxious, all the different personalities in trying to control it in your environment. Does that get fatiguing? It really takes a lot to find the right balance to the right group. It really does. And it takes a long time. Heck, I saw a thing up in Ocala. They've been trying to, there's one group that think that they can't stand this channel because what I've been able to do in 6 years, they've been trying to do in 15 years. And they get people leaving and going, but they all want to be this conglomerate. They want to, have these relationships with designers and so forth and so on, and they got nothing. Does that become fatiguing? There's so many things out there that could contribute to this, but it's something that makes me scratch my head, where I'm seeing more younger gamers that have only been in this for maybe 4 or 5 years that are getting extremely fatigued and tired and need to walk away from it. Are the conventions too much? Are they overcrowded? They've been gone for a while too because of COVID. We're in an age where games have never been more beautiful and more creative, and we've never had more brilliant people creating wonderful, wonderful games. It's very true. I mean, you look at the David Thompsons, the Richard Launiuses, and all the things that he's done, all the people from Awakening Realms, from Renegade, okay, Creative Labs there, Chronicles of Drungor, which is a fantastic thing, Dungeon Universalis. I never dreamed I would have these type of games when I was a kid, and now all this stuff is available to me. But is it kind of like Santa Claus, maybe even? wow, it was fun when I was younger because it meant so, it was magical then. And after a while, does it lose its magic? Could it be that? This is a weird trend that I'm seeing as I'm getting emails from people and comments on certain videos or posts and things like that. And it's a concerning thing. Is it something we can turn around? We've talked about so many different subjects that can add to this. But there's so many good things too, which is a head scratcher. Like I said, I've never seen a more creative time. I've never seen more companies make beautiful, enriched games. It's hard to cover them all. That's fatiguing unto itself. And even I found myself over the last month or so, and it's kind of hurt the channel, where I've been just kind of, boy, I don't feel like taping anything. Boy, I don't feel like making any videos. Boy, my arm hurts and I don't feel like painting. And these type of things add up. And I wonder if everybody else is going through this. Are you guys feeling this? Am I out of my gourd? Am I off my rocker? Am I just making an assumption here? But I think the thing is, are you getting fatigued? Do you feel fatigue? Is it as magical as it once was? I mean, nothing ever is after you do it for a while. But are you still having the same type of fun? Are you still having those same special moments? And or are you feeling the way a lot of people are feeling, or that seem to be feeling? And can you give me some reasons? I would love to read them in the comments. And I'd love to make a big discussion of this and see if it's true or I'm just off my rocker, which is usually the case half the time. So I look forward to hearing what you have to say. And as always, until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon.